It's always been there, standing between you and your health. A wall. Between a pain that won't disappear and a doctor who magically appears. Between a long wait on a hospital bench and staying right where you are, at home. Between finding yourself out of medicines and finding them at your doorstep, whatever the time. Between years of health records all over the place and all your records in one organized access from anywhere place. Between your current regimen and the recommended routine. The wall. We don't need it anymore. Say hello to Apollo 24/7. This is India's largest end-to-end omni-channel healthcare ecosystem, designed to touch more lives than ever before and delivering its promise in 3 important ways. 1. Listen. Talk to us anytime from anywhere. We've got 7,000 doctors and 30,000 healthcare professionals listening. 2. Advise. We'll give you expert advice you can rely on because it comes from India's #1 healthcare provider. 3. Assist. We bring you India's largest health network of pharmacies, clinics, hospitals and health insurance experts. 20 million people already trust us for their care, and a further 50,000 people are discovering this every day. Apollo 24/7. Expertise is for everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and happy weekend and happy Saturday morning to you. Thank you for joining us and for taking the time to dedicate this time to your health. I would like to first acknowledge that on this health hour powered by Apollo 24/7 and your life, I would like to acknowledge that these teams have come together to take the time to bring this attention on the importance of yoga in everybody's life, especially at a time now when things are, as they always are, chaotic and there's a lot of work going on. A lot of us are working from home and thus leading to a lot of back and posture problems, which is the focus of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm Sarah Jane Dias. I'm going to be hosting this event with a fantastic yoga expert. His name is Zubin Atré. We're going to introduce him shortly. And we're going to take you through some of the basic issues that we're all facing with our posture these days. And we're going to also show you what you can do about it. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Zubin Atré. And before we go into introducing Zubin Atré, I would also like to talk about this wonderful initiative of getting vaccinated. I've been double vaxxed, everybody. But in case you haven't, Apollo 24/7 has made your life very easy. There's no more waiting and no more hassles. You can literally, as it says on the screen in front of you, you can download the app. And there are over 200 plus vaccination centers that you can choose from. And all you need to do is literally just book on your vaccination slot and then show up and get vaccinated. So please, if you've not done it yet, do not wait. Get vaccinated. Today, Apollo 24/7 has made it super easy for you. Hi, Zubin.
Hi, Sarah Jane. How are you doing today?
I'm very, very well. I'm always happy when I have to talk about yoga, and I'm a morning person, so I'm very happy to be awake and talking about something that I love. And before we go any further, though, I want to introduce everybody to you and what it is that you do. I did a bit of reading, and it's very, very impressive. Zubin's done over 16,000 teaching hours of yoga and is a Doyen Sports yoga specialist. Zubin has innovated sound scientific approach towards with biomechanics and rhythmic breathing practices. He's been featured as a TEDx speaker and has authored a book called It Takes Two to Yoga. I love that name. And AtréYoga has been founded by Zubin, and they endorse very specific sets of asanas aligned to improve a range of motions and breath work very important, and mind coordination. So thank you for gracing us today, Zubin. And
You're welcome.
I've set the context for what we're going to be talking about. What are you looking forward to the most today?
I think I'm always very happy to talk about when it comes to breath, because breath and spinal health, especially, it's just so little that we know about these things, and there are so many misconceptions around this that people tend to miss the real part, the real small packets of information which people, if they knew, they would be able to do much better, especially related to the posture, spinal health, and also to the breath. And I'm always very excited to speak to another yoga teacher. You see, so there's never any end to learning. So I'm very excited to also speak to you, Sarah Jane. And thank you very much for a lovely introduction, and thank you for welcoming on this beautiful day. It's actually a very sunny day today.
It's a lovely sunny day. I do love the rain, but I'm not complaining. It's nice to have a bit of sunshine. So let's just dive right in, because there are a couple of things that I want to ask you right off the back. As I was mentioning in the introduction, a lot of people today are working from home. And even the ones who are going to the office sort of spend a lot of time sitting in your chair. And just generally, I feel like, sitting is the new smoking now. So we've been spending a lot of time just sort of sitting around, coming out of lockdown, a lot of posture issues. So what are the few things one needs to keep in mind while we adjust into getting into a good seating posture? So if we're going to be sitting, how do we sit right?
Right. So as you rightly said, that sitting is the new smoking, because when you sit, see what happens when you sit for a long duration, our spine tends to compress with the weight of spine itself and the body and the torso itself. So knowing that, it's a good idea that you have to take frequent breaks. You have to get up and you have to might change your position, sit at a different place, or recline a little bit, or change seats. That's a very good idea, because it allows the blood to circulate properly. Because when we are sitting against a surface, it always presses our body parts in a way that somewhere of some sorts, like blood circulation does not get to go the way it should. So definitely, before we get into exact the attributes of a good sitting posture, what we need to understand is that the spine is the challenge here, which gets to be compressed with the weight itself. Now, when we are talking about a good sitting posture, you need to make sure that the blood is circulating properly, and you need to make sure that the muscle health is maintained, and that is maintained by making sure that you are close to the center of the gravity. So for that, for people who don't understand what center of the gravity is, like any object would have a center of the gravity, which is actually literally towards the center. For our human body, it's simple physics. The center of the gravity would be somewhere around navel, right? Mm-hmm. So for better explanation, let's say if I have to carry a water bottle all day and I'm walking with the bottle next to me, I will never feel the weight of that bottle. I won't feel that it's a very heavy bottle, Mm-hmm. But if I'm told to carry the same water bottle away from my center of the gravity like this,
I see.
I won't be able to hold it.
You feel the weight of it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you will be working more against the gravity, and when you work against the gravity, you will be using more of your muscular efforts. And when that happens, you will end up burning more of your muscles, and there will be more release of lactic acid, which will tire you eventually. So this is exactly what happens. This is so if you have to understand something, you have to understand the both extremes, like complete 0 to 100, so that you get the idea of what 50 looks like. So the weight of the bottle or the pen does not change much, but when you're working against the gravity, it makes you feel even more tired. So it's similar situation with our body. Let's say, for an instance, if you are somebody who slouches a lot, the center of the weight of your head goes away from the center of the gravity. If you have that pokey chin syndrome, where you're going forward, the weight of the head is going to tire the muscles which are next to the spine right there, right? So when that happens, it just makes you feel that you're working more and more, and there's a constant amount of work that continues to happen, and which creates that accumulation of lactic acid, and which eventually tires the muscle. So
And then
the
I'm
best
assuming
idea.
that that leads to everyone complaining about a pain in the neck, a pain in the head, because you've
Right.
constricted blood flow everywhere, right?
Yes, constricted blood flow, plus these muscles were always working. So they always were working even in the background. And when they are working, they would eventually get tired. So this is what we need to know, that just to make sure that the muscles are not getting tired, we need to have the right amount of strength in those muscles. So that's very important thing. So let's say, for an instance, if you're somebody who walks like this, the weight of
Mm.
the head, the further away it goes from the center of the gravity, the more harder it becomes for the muscles at the back. So it becomes a musculoskeletal challenge altogether. And then it constricts the blood flow, of course, and it creates a very uncomfortable feeling by the end of the day, right? Because when you're sitting constrained and there's a stress all over around you, and I have seen people typing their emails like this.
Yeah,
They are all crunched with their shoulders up. Now, lifting the
yeah,
shoulders up is not going to help them in any way while they're writing the emails, right? But what happens is, just because there's constant amount of work happening always all over around your neck and your shoulders, it just makes it happens in the background, and just because we are not aware of it, we don't get to stop it, right? So the
right,
first thing to know is to how to save your muscular efforts as much as you can.
right. And only engage those muscles that are required to help you sit and work in a
Yeah,
particular position. And like you said, move about to encourage some kind of circulation. Um,
right,
right?
right. Yes, so all of this has to be done more mindfully. For an instance, like a person who is
Right.
like doing this stressful email, he's all squeezed with his neck and your shoulders. And also, I guarantee that he's not breathing well. So when you're not breathing well, that lactic acid, which gets accumulated in the muscles, making it more and more tired, does not get to
Yeah.
dissolve, because oxygen, which comes in through the breath,
Yeah.
it's their job to dissolve this
Dissolve the lactic. There's
lactic
this
acid.
really, I remember reading this a long time ago, and it was a really simple example, and something really, it was so simple that I was just like, can't believe I didn't think of this before. So our natural tendency is, if you've been sitting and you've been typing and typing and typing, and then after a while, your body suddenly needs this like jolt of air, and you do that, right? Because you want to
Right,
stretch. And actually,
right,
what the body is doing is just expanding your chest, and you're stretching so you get more
absolutely,
oxygen in. And then
right,
you go back to being like that again. And then again, in some time, you
absolutely,
need to stretch out again. So I think that people, it's actually quite simple now that you've explained it as well.
yes,
It's quite logical that, your body needs
right,
that amount of oxygen in order to keep it going. Um,
right.
which would lead me to my next question is, if you could talk a little bit more, since we're focused so much about the spine and the back, are there any
Mhm.
basic movements or understandings that one needs to have about the spine that can sort of, when you're thinking about it, it'll just make more sense for you, like, okay, these are the basic movements that I need to make sure that I do every day?
Mhm. Yes, Sarah Jane, there are, see, with spine, it's actually very easy. You need to
Yeah.
understand the way the spine functions. So, the way the spine is constructed, there are 6 basic movements of the spine, which spine is
Right.
very happy to do. So, if we
Right.
continue to do those movements and with proper range of motion, you would you are likely to have a very healthy spine through your entire life. So those simple movements are very basic. Let's say we do them in our daily life, but we never get to notice the way our spine is happy to move and is able to move. So one is, I'm going to give you a very small demonstration. So first movement would be like tilting to the right. So this helps
Mm-hmm.
you. This movement helps you to pick up something in case you have dropped something on the floor. You just simply lean and pick up that pen or notebook or whatever. And similarly, tilting to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then third movement will be bending forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then bending backwards. So these are 4 movements, and the fifth movement would be twisting to the right and then
Mm-hmm.
twisting to the left. So these are the movements. If you continue to, if you see the diagram of the way a spine can move, and if you continue to move the spine in these with a proper range of motion, because obviously I just did a very small movement right now, and
Yeah.
if you do these movements, you would notice that your spine is healthy, right? You're also not only working on your spine, Because when we say spine, people only picture or visualize the skeletal part of spine, right? What people don't
Yeah.
understand is that spine is something which carries the central nervous system right from the brain to the rest of the body. So
Of course.
it's the
Yeah.
part of the spine which spine in fact is there. The skeletal spine is there obviously to give you that kind of structure to your body, but it's also
Yes.
there to completely protect the central nervous system, which is the part
That's
of
so
your
true.
brain.
Yes. Of course. Of
So
course. Yeah.
a lot of your reflexes come from central nervous system. Sometimes what happens, central nervous system is like, it decides so many things on the behalf of the brain, because sometimes the body
Yeah.
does not have the time to go all the way the signals, the stimuli to the brain, and then wait for the response to stimuli. For an example, if you touched something really hot, right, by the time the message goes to your brain and then come back, stimuli and response to stimuli would be to move your hand away from that hot surface, because your tissues are burning, your skin is burning, your cells are burning. Your body is not going to send that signal to the brain. It will send this signal to the spinal cord, and spinal cord will make you jerk your hand away from it, right?
Yeah.
So it's again like, spine is a very intelligent part of the body, and it consists that central nervous system inside it, and that is actually very sensitive. You must have heard people saying like, oh, they have compression in their spine, herniated disc, and all that kind of stuff, which makes them feel numbness and all that kind of stuff, losing sensation on certain parts of your body. So this happens a lot. That's why we need to make sure that first we need to have a healthy set of spine,
Yeah.
and that can be done by strengthening the muscles around it. So you have
Yeah.
skeletal part is cushioned
Yeah.
with the muscles. So if you have stronger
Yeah.
muscles surrounding your spine remains
Yeah.
exactly at the spot where it's bound to stay. And then
Yeah.
obviously, if the skeletal part is protected, the central nervous system is protected itself.
It's also protected. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to share something. Two things actually. Is one is that it when you're an expert and I've been in the fitness world for a very long time. So when you say to me that, you need to strengthen your muscles, I'm not at all intimidated by that statement. But I want to say this for everybody out there who's listening, because I've had this experience where I say to people that you need to strengthen your muscles, and they picture going to the gym, or like lifting heavy weights. And I just want to say to everybody who's listening that it's actually not that complicated, and it's not that hard, and it's just a matter of repeating a few basic, and I'm sure Zubin will agree with me, it's a matter of repeating a few basic movements and a few basic, very simple strengthening exercises as often as you can during the week, if not every day. That will really benefit you over a period of time. I've seen it happen to me. I'm a relatively tall girl, and I used to have quite rounded shoulders, and over a period of time, with very simple movements, just like you said, forward bending, back bending, side to side, and twisting, I've managed to sort of straighten myself, and just like you were saying, that mind body connection has improved now. So even when I'm sitting for long hours on set, I'm just a little more conscious every now and then of just sort of straightening myself and sitting properly. So that's one thing that I wanted to share. And another thing that you were talking about, how delicate the nervous system, the nerves around the spinal cord are, and around the spine are. So my dad developed sciatica because he used to sit on his wallet all the time.
Exactly.
And it's actually a really common problem that a lot of men have, because they put their wallet in their back pocket and they're sitting on it, and it's really thick, right? And so you're sitting off balance the whole time. So he developed a really bad sciatic problem, and for the longest time, he just could not figure out what the problem was. His physiotherapist gave him some basic exercises and said, stop sitting on your wallet. Basically, that's
Right.
it.
See, so a small advice like this can change the quality of life, can improve the quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So I've seen this. Like my driver used to sit on his wallet, and he would always have a thick wallet. Yeah, and to the point that there was an impression on the seat in front. So yeah, literally, like right now, what I do is like I have a very small wallet which only carries cards. And if I have to put it somewhere, I really love wearing suits. So I just keep it
Right.
on the inside pocket of my suit,
Right.
or if I have to keep it, it's at the back pocket, but it's then pushed further down to the right hand side in a
Yep.
way that I don't sit on it. So it's actually,
Right.
I'm glad that you brought it, and a lot of people need to know this, that they are sometimes sitting on these accessories in their back pockets, and which certainly ends up tilting the hip girdle in a way that it shouldn't be doing it. And
Yeah.
also, Sarah, there are like a lot of misconceptions and misunderstanding people have around the posture. They think that, they feel guilt about, like, oh, it's my habit. I sit like this, it's my habit. It's not the habit. If I were to like really stand behind you, or it's and keep reminding you to sit up like this, and they're like, "Main bhool jata hu, I forget it." I always start like this, but then 3 minutes down the line, I go like this. So people think that it's more to do with the habit than to
Mm-hmm.
have the actual um, the muscle wealth. People don't understand that they need to have that
Yeah.
trained set of muscles to be able to
Yeah.
hold their stance upright. So
Yeah.
they feel that, okay, I just need to be reminded, so I'm going to put a sticker on my desk which says like sit upright. Of course
Yeah.
it's there, but it
Absolutely.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So
No.
it's not just like a simple push you need or reminder you need. It's a longer process than that, and you
Yeah.
said it so beautifully, and you said it, you could not simplify it further when you said that it's repetitive movements
Yeah.
of certain muscles
Yeah.
in a certain
Yeah.
direction with a
Yeah.
certain range of motion with certain
Yeah.
intensity.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you have
Yeah.
absolutely given that muscle the muscle memory it needs to have to
Yes.
be able to hold
You
that
just
structure
said
up there.
I was looking for. The body is really beautiful because it remembers everything. So
Right.
whatever you're feeding it and whatever you're telling it verbally or with your actions, it's going to remember. So if you
Right.
keep repeating the same beneficial yoga asanas or whatever exercises that you're doing to help you keep your posture together, you will see
Right.
for yourself that about a month, 2 months down the line, it'll automatically start to do it for you. You won't have to be
Correct.
this excuse of मुझसे नहीं होगा या मैं भूल जाती हूँ या काम बहुत ही
Right.
stressful है, ये सब नहीं होगा. You will
Right.
automatically just like that. It happened to me.
Right.
So before we go any further, because clearly you and I could keep talking about this till the cows come home. But before we do that, I would love for you to demonstrate a couple of easy yoga asanas that maybe people can do just where they are right now and follow along with us, please, of how to just help the spine and posture.
Right. Certainly. So, like I explained right in the beginning, that there are certain ways your spine can move. It's just that we have to make them more effective and go deeper into that range of motion. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to slide my chair back a little bit so that you can see
Sure.
the exact same postures that can be
Yeah.
done on the chair. So, people who are watching, if you have a chair next to you, please go grab the chair, because it's going to get you a little bit of an experience on how it feels and how it needs to be done. So, allow me to just. So let's say, so I have a very simple chair. It's my dining chair. So what happens when you sit on the chair? So you have to sit with your spine completely upright, and your feet should be touching the floor. So that's one thing that's important. So you're going to just drop the arm down. So if you have an armchair, chair with the armrest, so just move the arm over the rest. And just imagine that you want to pick up a pen that has fallen on the floor, but you don't want anybody else to know around that. So it's just like, in a very stealth way, you're just going to pick up that little pen you dropped on the floor, and then you come back. So you kept your face, your chest and your torso facing in front, and then you will do the same thing on the other side. So maybe slide to the left of the chair if you have to, and then you're going to tilt and just feel the weight of the arm itself. You're not going down with the particular efforts in terms of strength. You're just using the weight of the arm to tilt further down, and then you bring yourself up. So these are the first two movements of the spine. They're important for the spinal health because it improves the range of motion, and it stretches the torso better in a way that the way the spine is connected to the hip girdle. So it helps you to have that kind of mobility. And then the next thing you can do is a simple forward bend, is to just keep your feet parallel to the floor and put your hands on top of the knees, and then slide your hands as you go down, and then you just simply fold forward. So taking your chest towards your thighs. So, and when you're there, you just might as well want to relax your neck, your shoulders, rather than holding it there. And since you're very close to your own body, you'll be able to hear the sound of your own breath. And that's actually very comforting. So with every exhalation, notice that you're relaxing and letting go of all the stiffness you have in your arms, your muscles, and your torso. You just simply relax entirely. And then you come out. So that's one thing I wanted to mention, that you want to come out unrolling your spine, like uncurling of the spine. When that happens, your vertebrae would love it, the way the intervertebral space is open. So it makes it even much nicer for the spine to come out back in that manner, like how you just did it. And then it's the backward bend. So for that, you just have to tuck your hands under the base of the chair with your knees wider, and just grab it and push the center of the torso forward, like you want to lift the sternum up. So lifting the sternum up, you're going to drop your head back. So I have to give you a side view on this. So this is how it looks and appears. So grabbing the base of the chair, you arching back, and you're dropping your head back, all the way back. So now this allows you to lift the chin up higher than your noses. So now lifting the chin up higher than your noses brings the throat in one straight line with the spine, which means a very clear opportunity for you to do a mega inhalation. So you can breathe in as long as you want. The breath goes down to the bottom of the lungs, feeling the stretch coming along the walls of the lungs. You know, you're filling the lungs with proper air, and that eventually also improves the lung capacity, right? So when you improve the lung capacity, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have to ask this question because I have a lot of very close friends and family who have this problem. So
Right.
Dizziness because of stiffness
Right.
of muscles. So
Right.
is there, and I know a lot of people watching have this problem because it's so common these days. So they've either got vertigo or their muscles are so stiff that they get dizzy when they tilt back. So is there, should they do this? Should they not do this? Is there a...
See, vertigo has a completely different reason altogether. It might just not be the stiffness coming out. It could be the pressure
Yeah.
in your ear canal, right? So there are different. So if you have vertigos, rather than self-healing, I would say that you should consult a doctor at Apollo, and it's very easy to just
Yeah.
fix an appointment that way.
Yeah.
But if you just feel dizzy because you're tilting your head back, you might just want to make sure that you're doing it very easy and relaxed way. Some people have better range of motion. Now, when I say
Yes.
that, hey, listen, lift your chin up higher than your noses, like for some people, it's not possible. Like you have a very
Yes.
flexible neck and you just
Yeah.
did it, and your
Yeah.
chin literally went higher than your nose was. So for
Yeah.
people who are receiving this instruction in my yoga class, they don't get to see themselves. They think they're lifting their chin up higher than your noses because the proprioception doesn't always work in that accurate manner. And
Right.
they think they're doing it. What I eventually wanted to be done is to bring the throat in one straight line so that then I can tell them to do a mega inhalation. So if you're having vertigos, just maybe arch back very gently and not use the
Got it.
weight of the head to go back.
Got it.
And do them
Got it.
sitting, because if you do them sitting, you have more sense of being where you are. You have better sense
Grounded.
of aesthetics. You have better sense of proprioception, and then you know your surroundings very well. So if you have vertigos or spinning in your head, you just might want to sit and do it. And the last set of the movements, which are
Yes.
my favorite and the most effective one, are the spinal twists.
Me too.
So for
I love twist.
yeah, spinal twists are so magical, and the way they work on your body, the way they work on your breath, and the way they
Yeah.
work on your mind, they are the mood lifters, right? So when
Yeah.
you feeling, too anxious about something, when you're feeling too stressed about something, or even when you're feeling low about certain things, you can do them, and they just put you at the right spot where you need to be. And that's the beauty of the spinal twist, because like
Yeah.
I said, they don't only work on your vertebrae, they also work on your central nervous system. So they nourish the muscles around that. They rinse the lactic acid off that, and they condition the nerves. And you have, like, sometimes when I do spinal twist, I'm more eloquent than I normally am, right? I'm more clear, I'm more focused then. And sometimes when I'm not able to fall asleep, that happens with yoga teachers too. Sometimes we are unable to fall asleep thanks to a lot of distractions around us these days. But yes, do the spinal twist, combine them with like a subtle, way of breathing, and then you are totally into it. Then you slip into sleep in a very relaxed way because you are then relaxed. So allow me to demonstrate, and we can actually do it together because I see that you have a chair that's very apt. So
Yeah.
so for the spinal twist, while you're sitting on the chair, you have to make sure that your chest and your tummy continues to remain facing forward. Your legs, your
Mm-hmm.
feet are precisely under the heels, and your feet are comfortably touching the floor. They're not hanging. Their heels are not lifted up. And I'm going to go back to demonstrate it better, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an angle so that we see what's happening here. Good. So for the spinal twist, let's say you have two corners of the chair of the back. So lifting your right arm up. So people who are doing it along with us, you can also do that. So lift your right arm up and rotate to the left. If you're lifting your right arm, you rotate to the left and you grab the left corner of the chair up there, right? And then you move, your left arm is kind of inside this pocket. You're going to get this out and you're going to grab the other corner. And next step is to lift the elbows up. Now lift the elbows up, keep bending the arms. So bending both the arms, lifting the elbows up. And you're going to look as far as you can over the left shoulder. And as you hold that position, you need to make sure that you're breathing in and out a comfortable breath. And there is always uncoiling and coiling of the spine happening with the permission of the breath. So when you breathe in, because the breath needs space inside your torso, it might want to uncoil a bit. So allow that to happen. But with every exhalation, you find that one extra degree of rotation, which helps you to get deeper into that pose. You can even breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth for a quicker exhalation release and a better twist in the spine. And when you breathe out, you're going to gently uncoil the body out of this and back to the center. Right? So this, when you do that, it actually feels amazing, not only on your spine, it helps your muscles to feel relaxed as well. It even stretches the muscles which are right between the shoulder blade and the spine. So again, comforting and protecting the spine in many ways. So we're going to do it on the other side as well. So lifting your left arm up, you're going to grab the corner at the back. So lift it up, lift the elbow up on the other side, get your right arm to go grab the other end and twist. Look as far as you can over the shoulder, continue breathing in and out. So you can hold this position for about 3 long and deep, comfortable breaths. Breathe out, slowly get the body out of this, back to the center. So with the spinal twist, right? So coiling is fun, but also uncoiling and coming out of it is, look at us, we are all smiling because, spinal twists, they are actually the mood uplifters. So they make us happy.
I love them. I love them because I think they work on your digestive system too, don't they?
They do, because see, you're working with only the given amount of space, right? So when you do that, and especially when you're doing the Kati Chakrasana, for instance, when you're doing them laying down and with your knees really in close to the chest, what happens is that you are massaging the internal organs, right?
Yeah.
And you're also working on your endocrinal system, so they're good for overall health. They're going to work on your central nervous system, endocrinal system, skeletal system, your respiratory system, and they make you feel. These are like the most underrated yoga poses because they do so much more than we think. And if you don't have time, if I have to do only one thing in my yoga practice, these are the things I would do. And I think if you have a healthy spine and if you want to keep the spine healthy forever and ever, just do the spinal twist. If you're really, really busy and if you have no time for anything else.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Zubin. And I hope everybody who's watching has tried that with us and is feeling as relaxed and energized at the same time as we are. I would like to take a couple of questions from the people, from our audiences, actually. A couple of really interesting questions, two which have really stood out to me. One is, what is a good posture for studying? Don't study too hard, buddy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Study very hard. Study very hard. Score lots. And
Study
also
smart.
how and study smart. And how to reduce their fibromyalgia pain using yoga. This is a personal question for me. So I relate to it as well. So can you just answer these two questions for us, please, before we move on?
Okay, so the first good posture to study, like if you look at the ideal kid poster studying, they would be like, okay, studying with their all the neckties and all that kind of stuff on a desk and all that. It's fine. Like I said, um, take frequent breaks, change your posture often. Sometimes you can be totally studying, like I remember my parents were like, late ke nahi padna. Sometimes you receive better in that way. Sometimes you are like, okay, you can be just completely on a comfortable couch and be studying, and take frequent breaks and find a guided meditation, because that helps a lot. So when you need a break, just plug in something which doesn't have to be half an hour long. Get a 7 to 10 minute of a guided meditation and just simply lie down when you're doing that, or you can just simply sit and do that, maybe at the back of your car or something like this, when somebody else is driving, not when you're driving. So you can then just simply get it, just allows you to relax your muscles and everything. So then you can choose to sit in a comfortable position. Now if you're asking about the ideal position, I'm going to quickly demonstrate that how that works. There are three angles you need to keep in mind, and especially if you are working with the computer screens and also people who go to office, this is actually very handy information to keep in mind. So I'm going to slide my chair back quickly. So, three right angles you need to keep in mind. So, the first right angle is the angle your femur bone is making with your shin. And given that your feet are nicely touching the floor. Now, imagine if they're not touching the floor and your chair is too high, the back of the thigh will be pressed against the seat, and that will stop the blood from circulating towards your legs. So, in case you really like to sit on high chair, then place something under your feet, so that nothing is blocking the circulation towards the legs then, right? So that's the first 90-degree angle you need to look at. The second 90-degree angle is the way your torso is making an angle with your thigh. So that has to be 90-degree. So for that, you slide to the back of the chair and use a cushion if you have to. And then the third 90-degree angle is how your forearm is making an angle with your upper arm. So now that's very comfortable when you have an arm rest. So arm rested, elbows resting. Now imagine if your arm rest was too high. So it would just block it here and not let the blood circulation happen. And then hands on the keyboard and your eyes at the same level as the top of the screen. Right? And that's how you should be typing. And continue moving your toes, not jittery movements, just move your toes. Sometimes stretch, do those movements like we demonstrated right in the beginning. So when you do these things, so these are the things you need to keep in mind, these three 90-degree angles when you are sitting in your office or while you're studying, and that makes the body sustain its weight on its own. But remember that you always need a strong set of muscles next to the spine. So you have spine, muscles next to the spine, right from the top of the neck to the bottom. The rhomboid, the trapezius, these are the muscles they need to have that strength packed in them. And this takes some time. So don't lose hope that, okay, I'm not Zubin, I'm not ever able to hold this position like the way you said. It takes time. It's work towards it. But if you do asanas like Bhujangasana, for instance, it's a very simple pose. Hold it for a longer duration, and then you'll be able to feel where exactly the muscles are working, right? So that, I hope, answers the first question. Fibromyalgia,
Yeah, and
when we are talking about... Yes, please, sorry.
Sorry,
Sarah.
I just wanted to quickly add. So you said something about guided meditations, and I just wanted to the person who's asked this question, I have guided meditations on my social media. So if you just check out my social media that I'm most active on, I have guided meditations on there, and it's exactly like what Zubin said. They're not even 5 minutes long, so you can just plug them in and just sort of relax. And they're a great way, because I often find that what people do is they think that taking a break means checking their phone. And that's not taking a break. because you're
Right.
still using your nervous system and your receptors to do something. And actually what you want to do is like maybe stare at a tree or just shut your senses down for a little while. So staring at greenery, my Guruji always said was like the best way. And if you have a chance to just stare at a tree for just a couple of minutes, it's just the best way to rejuvenate the system. Or then shut your senses off and plug in a guided meditation like what Zubin said. So you were going to say about fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia is like, let's say, the muscles, they get tired, so every time
Yeah.
you feel like, okay, you are resting against something and you feel that your muscles are not able to feel that comfort, so the muscles are getting exhausted, and there
Yeah.
is constant pain that continues to be there, so
Yes.
there are so many things you can do in yoga classes that can help you manage the pain, that can maximize the comfort, when you have this condition. So
Mhm.
a lot of them are to do with the spinal twists. Now, spinal twists, when I say, it's a huge packet, spinal twist, there are so many different types of spinal twists. So if your spine, the structure of your spine allows you to do the spinal twists, you must do the spinal twists, because like I said, it would, it's like हम जैसे निचोड़ते हैं ना कुछ, that's exactly what we are doing, and that is very healthy for the body we are in.
Mhm.
So if you have fibromyalgia, you can manage the pain, the discomfort, and improve the quality of your life uh, with some spinal twists. And I would also say that before you start practicing on your own, consult a doctor at Apollo, and make sure that you have a go to practice on your own or at your own place. So this is what I have to say to people, those who have fibromyalgia.
So again, something that I just want to add to what Zubin has said. So I used to have fibromyalgia, and I would just say that to whoever it is out there who asked this question, I really do feel your pain. I know how challenging it can be, and how exhausting it can be, and how frustrating it can be when you have a fibromyalgia onset. I used to literally cry because I was in so much pain. But I just want to recommend something. So what I discovered after suffering with it for a couple of years was that and I did a lot of reading about it. So fibromyalgia comes from a deep-rooted emotional pain. So what I would recommend you do while you're doing your physical practice, which has to be as light as possible, so yoga is one of the best options, is to also look into possibly some mental health care support, because it is very often coming from some deep-rooted emotional trauma. So I found that for myself, that when I was dealing with my fibromyalgia, I coupled it with help from a psychologist. And once I
Right.
started to deal with a lot of childhood trauma, I was able to cope with this pain, because like I was saying earlier, the body always remembers. So if you've been through
Right.
something very challenging emotionally, you may have even forgotten about it, but your body will remember, and that pain will find a way to come out in some way or the other. So I just wanted to sort of bring that to the table,
No,
and I hope that's helpful.
right. Like there are actually studies that show that if you had some childhood trauma, you're likely to develop more autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
it's just like your body's way of preventing yourself from those kind of abuses,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your body constantly remains in that defense mechanism
Yeah.
system, and
Yes.
it just work inwards, but not in a nice way, you see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I completely support you there. I think guided meditation is one way to go about it. Of course,
Yeah.
consult somebody who knows, who's from this field again. Somebody,
Yeah.
a psychologist if required, or a psychiatrist if needed.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on same lines with this
Yeah.
one.
Again, please reach out to me on social media. I'm always replying to these messages, especially when it comes to mental health. I do a lot of work in that space, so please feel free. So, moving on, we have some other really interesting questions. We have a bunch of them actually.
Mhm.
I have one which is now not to do with sitting, it's about walking. So, someone has asked, walking for a long period of time causes a lot of pain in my lower back. Is there any way to
Right.
fix this?
Yes, there are. First, before we jump into the fixing, we need to see what's the cause. There could be few
Right.
causes, because from whatever
Right.
I can understand, you're saying you walk a lot. It's not running, it's walking, right?
Yeah. Walking.
It's walking. So the first reason is that you have flat feet, and this shockwave
Right.
goes entirely up towards your body in a way. You don't have those kind of shockers in your feet to prevent any kind
Absorb,
of
right.
shock. It goes upwards through your joints and your back is feeling. So you have one, this possibility is there. Second is that you are overweight in a way that your belly is bulging in a way that it's making your body arch more than it should. The lower back. I believe this person is having the pain in the lumbar region because that's where walking happens, affects the most. Or you have very little strength in your glutes. So hip muscles, you need to strengthen your hip muscles to make sure that your hip girdle is not getting affected if you are walking a certain distance. The fourth possibility is that you're not investing in good shoes. And I can not repeat it enough. Like, I can't put more stress on this when I say don't buy shoes, invest in shoes.
Yes.
Make sure they are better, they are properly contouring against the arches of your feet. Or if you don't have
Absolutely.
any arch in your feet, you need to have. Sometimes shoes we wear, they look good, but you need to wear shoes for the reason that they are supporting the arches of your body. So sometimes, so
Yeah.
this is one possibility. Either you are you are overweight, you're not wearing good shoes, or you have basically less strength in the lower back muscles, or you have flat feet. So
Yeah.
fix on these things together. There are some exercises you can still do, will not
Yeah.
completely will strengthen the bottom of the feet to let's say this was your foot. For an instance, you put a keychain on the floor and put a dice, 10 or 11 dices on one side, and then
Yeah.
an empty cup on the other side. If you have flat feet, I know a lot of people have flat feet, they're like, how bad can this be? But it eventually costs you the structure of the body, takes the
Yeah.
takes the toll because of the flat feet.
Yeah.
So one exercise you can do, and I know that it's very effective because I've made several people do it. So put 10 or 12 dices on one side and an empty cup on the other side. With your foot,
Yeah.
grab the dices with your toes like this and put them in the cup.
And drop them in the cup. Yeah.
Yes. So this again, like what Sarah Jane said, that when you do certain repetitive movements, you will be working on the muscles. You'll be strengthening up the tendons, and
Yeah.
once that happens, the foot will be contained better.
Yeah.
Right. So it helps you to take, the feet are very important. They take the weight of your body. So you really have to be nice to your feet. You have to spoil your
Yeah.
feet.
And
Good
what's
shoes.
and where do all the nerves from the feet get connected to? Your spine. So it's
Yeah.
all one big happy family, and it's all what people need to remember is that your body is working for you. It's not working against you, right? So
Right.
just when you even talk about your body the way you are right now, is that you must remember that the body will do its best to keep you safe and to keep you healthy. You just need to do your bit in making sure that you're feeding it the right food, giving it the right exercise, kind of like watering a plant, right? And it will do everything in its power to keep you going.
Right.
So please, to whoever's sent this message, I would recommend, like what Zubin was saying, figure out what the issue is, figure out whether it's your shoes, whether it's your flat feet, or whatever other issues that Zubin said you might have. Do consult with the doctor at Apollo to figure out if your posture is correct, if it needs correction, if you're overweight, how you can lose some weight, because there's a lot of pressure also on your knees, which is really not
Right.
good for you in the long run.
Right.
Again, from personal experience, I recently had a broken foot, and I did these exercises to help. Yeah, it was awful. It was very embarrassing how I felt because I don't know what I was trying to do, but I broke my foot, and one of the first exercises that I had to do in order to activate my arch again was to take a towel and curl it with my toes, and then release it with my toes, and then curl it with my toes, and it's amazing how in 10 days of doing this, my arch just started to activate and
Right.
support me better. So
Right.
it's really miraculous what these small movements can do.
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm glad that
Yeah.
whatever we discussed and talked about, how you could personally relate to those things.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
with this foot injury as well. Yes, of course, the rehabilitation of your foot and the muscles is very important, and these
Yeah.
micro muscles in your feet, you know need these micro exercises. I can't even say that, hey,
Yes.
listen, you're going to burn some calories by doing those, but these are
Yeah.
exercises which improve the quality of your muscles, and that is
Yeah.
extremely important, because
Yeah.
when we say like, hey, work on the muscles, we don't say like, hey, listen, bulk up, get like heavy shoulders, huge pectorals and a tricep that's tearing your t-shirt. Don't Maybe that's your goal, but when we say, you still need to be in, not just look good physically, but you need to feel good physically, and that's more important than looking good
Yeah.
physically. And that's
Yeah.
actually the byproduct, that you would end up looking at, you're spending more time in front of the mirror. Hey, look, this is popping out better, or that's popping out better. We all know
Yeah,
this.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just wanted to, I'm going to bring the Q&A to a close, and I'm going to bring my time with everybody who's watching, and with you, and with Apollo 24/7 and your life on the Health Hour to a close. Thank you so much, Zubin. This has been really wonderful, and it's always nice to, even though you feel you know so much, but it's always nice to hear new things and learn new things. So thank you for all your insights, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Sarah Jane. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed, watching us in conversation. Sarah Jane, she had a lot of experience. Anything we talked about, we simply related to it. Thanks a lot, Sarah Jane, for welcoming me on the show, for having such a lovely conversation, and I hope that there was a lot of takeaway for all the viewers who were joining, and I hope that you did practice those yoga movements as well. And as Sarah Jane said, that there are she's pretty active on social media, and she has her guided meditation where you can go and listen to her guided meditation. I also happen to have guided meditation podcasts. They are available on iTunes, Google Podcasts. They are available on all the other major platforms wherever you hear your podcasts from, Spotify, for an instance. And please feel free to connect as well. Now, jumping into the health quiz. So we have, you have all been very patient, and you have all stick for a long time. Now it's a quiz time. So now the question is, the quiz question is, how many vertebrae do we have in our spine? Since it's all about the spine, and the options are 33 and 29. Okay, how many? Let me rephrase my questions. How many vertebrae would an adult have? 29 or 33? So that's first question. I know you're all Googling it right now, but since you are doing it, you might even want to Google next question, which is very simple. And it's going to actually make you think. The question is neck the part of the spine? Yes or no? You can answer the questions over chat, and the name of the winner will be announced at the end of the show. And once your name has been announced, if you are a winner, if you're the lucky winner, you can just simply contact us at marketing@apollo247.com. And for everyone who wins, you will be receiving gift vouchers, and they will be shared with you by the Apollo 24/7 team. And the Apollo 24/7 has an amazing application. So I have recently moved back to India, and for me, I was trying to find this one solution which can take care of all my requirements related to hospitals and medicines and everything. So I started using Apollo 24/7. There was nothing else. Nobody recommended it to me. It just happened that I did my own research and I found this one to be the best. So Apollo 24/7 app has a 50% cashback on Circle subscription. So if you subscribe using the code Circle50, you will get priority access to doctors, you will get exclusive discounts and cashbacks, and you would also get personalized healthcare solutions. So this is your one-stop solution for all your requirements related to anything which has to do with healthcare, your medical requirements, or anything along those lines. So even getting your medicines delivered at your doorstep. So I ended up delivering some medicines last week, and I was amazed like how precise this entire thing is. Like it tells you like, okay, it has been shipped. Then you can also upload your prescription in case you need prescription for certain medicines. You can just upload your prescription. The user interface of the application is amazing. It's very intuitive. You can just simply start using it, and it makes your life actually quite a lot easier. Okay, so we have the names of the winners. And the first winner right now we have with us is Kalyan Dinavahi. Kalyan Dinavahi, congratulations, your answer was correct. And the second winner is Sulekha Jasmine. Sulekha Jasmine. So congratulations, both of you. And you can just simply write an email to the email address mentioned in the chat, and then claim your vouchers.